Hey everyone, welcome to the show today. Great to have you and super excited to be able to now take you through my Oura Ring versus Apple Watch comparison. So you know, if you've been tuning into the show for some time now, that I'm a big biometrics-based wearer. I use glucometer-based devices to check blood sugar. I've used the Whoop strap in the past right here. I've used oximeters to test my oxygen levels and the Leaf Therapeutics device to test up to the second data on heart rate variability. So again, I'm someone that loves this industry. I love biometrics. And what I want to do though is take you through my favorites to date, which has been the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring. So just to let you know, I've been using the Oura Ring now for about 3 years. So I've got a lot of data on that. I'd say almost 3 years. And the Apple Watch I just got about 8 weeks ago. So I've been using that now for 2 months. So I wanted to be able to give the Apple Watch some time so that I was able to give you a good, concise breakdown on if you are in the market to purchase one biometric-based device, which one should you choose? So we're going to go through about 6 different categories today: daily activity, fitness, sleep tracking, recovery tracking, overall health. We're going to go through best interface, EMFs, and then the overall winner. So pretty excited about this because, like I said, I'm a big fan, just to let you know ahead of time, I'm a big fan of both. But there is, in my opinion, one clear winner, and we'll see what the future brings for each. So let's get right into it. And first is going to be daily activity. So you know what, before we get into daily activity, for those of you who aren't familiar, maybe this is your first introduction to biometric-based testing and looking at your biomarkers, is that this right here is the Oura Ring. So the Oura Ring is going to be sized perfectly. They'll send you out a free kit for you to be able to figure out the right size for your ring finger or your middle finger. That's typically what they recommend. It's a titanium-based ring. It's very lightweight. It has LEDs and other sensors inside, very accurate, and it also has a gyroscope for movement and accelerometer to be able to look at paces and steps, etc. So a pretty amazing ring. I'm going to go through obviously the other features in just a moment. And then there's the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, you can get all sorts of different straps for it. If you're watching this on video, you'll be able to follow along. Today's video is at stephencabral.com/1987. So the Apple Watch gives you a lot of different Apple front faces, and you can basically choose what you want to be looking at on your Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, of course, is much more than a biometrics or fitness-based tracker. It can also do your text messages, your maps, your phone calls, and music, and so much more. So that's not what I'm using it for. I'll get more into why I'm not using that towards the end of the show. But you have one that essentially you wear on your wrist. You have one that you wear on your ring finger or middle finger. So super easy to basically put each on, and they're both about $399. You can get the Oura Ring for $299 for some of the models, and they're both one-time costs, which I really like. The Whoop strap, I did like the Whoop strap. It's not that I didn't. I used that for a while. That's a subscription model, about $30 a month, and you can get it less expensive at $29 a month. This just has less inputs than the Oura Ring or the Apple Watch. So since I wanted those inputs, I obviously went with one of these. So now that you know you have one ring and you have one watch, which one wins? Okay, well, let's get right into it. So daily activity. When you're looking at your daily activity, and if I'm looking at the Oura Ring, the only way to know how much I'm doing in terms of my steps for the day is going to be to look inside of the app on my phone. So that's the first strike against the Oura Ring. However, I want to be very fair. How would you be able to get any readout on the front of this ring unless there was a little digital interface, which Fitbit did for the wrist, but that would be very, very small. I think they could maybe do that in the future. Is it necessary? I don't really know. I think there could be some haptic feedback, meaning like it vibrates a bit to get you moving or something like that. I think that would be nice in the future. But for right now, you have to look at the entire digital interface on your phone. But the nice thing is it's very simple, easy to read, and it shows you your calories burned essentially for your goal, your total calories burned for the day, your walking equivalency in terms of miles, and then also your steps for the day. Now, We'll get into the fitness in just a moment, but it will track your movement through the day. There's no doubt about it. But as I talk about in a moment, you will need to add your exercise in. So both Apple Watch and Oura Ring both track your steps. Okay, so that's great. They both test your mileage. That is great. But there's a couple extras that Apple does. Apple, if you set the interface like I do, and I'll put some screenshots up. So if you go to stevencabral.com/1987, I'll get you a screenshot here. I think it's a beautiful interface. I usually post it to my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, it's just my name, Steven Cabral. I'm typically putting it in my stories. So you get a blue dot every hour that you stand for at least 1 minute. I love this because it motivates you to get yourself standing at least once an hour. So I really like that. And it will also show you your movement each hour as a red up and down, up and down, up and down. And if you get enough increase in heart rate for it to be considered exercise, then you get a little bit of a green line moving up. So like I said, I'm a big fan of this Apple interface. Overall, it's fantastic. And in terms of daily activity, it's also showing your heart rate. So at any time, I could click on heart rate, and it will show me what my resting heart rate is now or during exercise, etc. With the Oura Ring, it is not going to show you your heart rate just for up to the minute. You can get it overnight, which is great, but you can't get it up to the minute. So daily activity, one more thing I wanted to add is that the Oura Ring is based on an accelerometer, your height, and that's what's giving you a lot of your steps, okay? So I like that part to it. It has a gyroscope to it for movement, which helps with the sleep. But the Apple Watch can use GPS as well as an accelerometer, as well as an altimeter. So it can actually give you, if you look inside of your Apple app, remember you can't get everything on the Apple Watch, but a lot of these stats are inside that Apple Health app. It will show you how many stairs or flights you climbed that day. So in terms of daily activity, we're going to give the winner, the top mark, to Apple here. I'll tell you one other thing that it does. I think it's a little bit more accurate on steps. I think Oura Ring slightly exaggerates steps, all right? Not necessarily a bad thing. I think there's a slight exaggeration on steps on the Oura Ring. All right. Now, in terms of fitness, the next category. So I'll tell you this, that both the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring need to be plugged in. You need to input it in terms of your workout for the day. Now, Oura Ring, when you open the app, will prompt you if you missed it. Hey, did you work out for this 25 minutes right here? We saw an elevated heart rate. And so you're like, oh, yes, I did. Here's the activity. It was fitness. It was working out. It was hiking. It was whatever you want. For the Apple Watch, you click on the little person here that looks like it's running. You click on that and you can just click your actual workout, which is nice as well. So if I'm doing a weight training workout, my heart rate's not going to be as high. It knows that, but it still knows that I'm doing my workout for the day. But you do need to put it in. And there's been a few times that I forgot to press it before my workout because it's not my main thought. You know, I got to press my Apple Watch. So then I have to press it afterwards, do the same exact amount of time. So it's not exactly perfect. Now, in Oura Ring, we'll let you know if you've been running or because again, it will see that accelerated heart rate and you can pop that in for each. So neither is perfect, but the Apple Watch actually shines in terms of clicking the type of workout. And if you are someone that swims in a pool and doing laps, I found it to be unbelievably accurate, like to the yard for swimming. So I'll swim in an Olympic pool. So that's basically 25 meters. And I will do a certain amount of laps. So typically I'll do somewhere between 24 and 36 laps. And it is down to the lap. So I can tell you for sure, because I've measured it in the pool, that pool swimming, lap swimming, it's absolutely fantastic. And the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring can both get wet for that. So that's not an issue. It does not do a very good job tracking indoor runs on a treadmill. It's wildly off. I mean, the pace is off by like a minute and a half. But it does a great job for your outdoor runs. Both actually do a really good job. So I compared the two. I went for a 3-mile run. The Oura Ring was only 0.2 difference over a 3-mile run. So it's not that it's dramatically different, but it was almost 0.2 different. Okay, so there was a little bit of a difference with the Oura Ring. Again, there's a slight exaggeration on the Oura Ring in terms of your mileage. Okay, the heart rate is fantastic on both, but it's a clear winner on the Apple Watch because it's literally on the interface. You can look at your heart rate as you are going through your workout and your recovery during your rest times during your sets. So love that. Really, really great. The outdoor biking running is spot on because the GPS. Again, the Oura Ring's good, but it's not on that interface. So if you were doing like a triathlon, so I'm training for a sprint triathlon, a Garmin watch or something like that is still going to be better. It really is. It's going to be better overall. However, if you're using the Apple Watch and you're using like an app like Log My Run or one of those, then you're getting really great mileage as well. And so that's what I do. So instead of having another device on another wrist, I'm using my Apple Watch Log My Run along with, and I can use that for biking as well, along with the Apple Watch. All right. So in terms of fitness, Apple's the winner there. So daily activity, because you get such motivation with looking at your wrist and saying, hey, did I stand this hour? Oh, the hour's almost up. I got to get on my feet for that minute. Shows you, like, it literally motivates me because you can set your own parameters. So for me, I have to get a minimum of 400 extra calories burned, okay? A minimum of 20 minutes of exercise and a minimum of 12 hours or 12 standing hours because I don't put my Apple Watch on until 8 a.m. So I don't put it on early in the morning. I don't need to start getting into everything that early. The Oura Ring stays on, but not the Apple Watch. Okay. So we've got Apple as the first two winners. Next up is sleep. Okay. So what does the Oura Ring do? Because now you're going to start to see the Oura Ring shine. I mean, really, if you're talking about what does the Oura Ring look at for your sleep, it's looking at your heart rate variability, okay? It's looking at your body temperature, which is something the Apple Watch doesn't do. It's looking at your heart rate through the night, and it is looking at your total sleep time and time in bed. Plus, another thing that the Apple Watch doesn't do is it looks at your light sleep, your REM sleep, your deep sleep, and your awake time. So we'll actually show you when you wake up during the middle of the night, and it is unbelievably accurate. It was spot on. So for example, I'm looking at last night. My dog woke me up like right before 5 o'clock, and then I had a difficult time staying asleep for the next like 45 minutes. And you can see me kind of going in and out of light sleep and being awake. So it's really, really accurate. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And then it's going to give you your average heart rate variability, which is basically a good stress test on your body. I've talked about that before in a previous podcast. It'll give you your max heart rate variability, and then it will show you your lowest heart rate and your average heart rate, and it will show you how it fluctuated during the middle of the night or during the entire night. So, what does Apple do? Well, Apple will show your heart rate variability. It will show you your total sleep time, and overall pretty good. However, Oura Ring is tracking it all throughout the night. Apple will give you about 3 readings throughout the night on those. So nowhere near as accurate. I mean, night and day, the Oura Ring to the Apple Watch in terms of sleep tracking. The Oura Ring, hands down, the best sleep tracker I've ever used, without a doubt. Plus, when I wear the Apple Watch to bed, it's not ideal because it glows green under the bottom of the interface. So, you know, I didn't notice it necessarily as much. The top of the interface goes black, which is great, so you don't see it. But my wife said, she's like, didn't you know your watch was glowing green last night? I was like, oh, no, I had no idea. I was asleep. And so, you know, there is that factor to it. Plus, it is not as comfortable to sleep with a watch on than it is with a little ring that you barely feel. So in terms of sleep, the winner for sure, Oura Ring. All right, now what about recovery? Well, honestly, and this is very easy, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of this one. There's a readiness score that Oura Ring will give you that Apple doesn't do right now, okay? So the readiness score is based on your heart rate variability, your resting heart rate, your body temperature, and your respiratory rate. So that means that, let's say your heart rate variability went down. Let's say your body temperature went up slightly. And remember, the Apple Watch does not test body temperature. And let's say that your resting heart rate went up slightly. Well, let's say your respiratory rate went up slightly. You're going to get a lower readiness score, which means that the Oura Ring will tell you that your readiness score maybe is like an 81. And let's say your recovery is maybe like an 84. We'll give you your readiness and your sleep. So what it does is it bases on that. And so like if you're if you're doing better than you typically are, remember, it's based on you, nobody else. So if your heart rate variability is a 40 and you wake up the next day and it's a 30 and your body temperature is up by +1 and your average heart rate went from 54 to 58, it's going to say, oh, your readiness today was like a 77. It's going to show you lower. And you want to shoot for being in the 90s. And then you're like, oh, I could push myself today with my workout. Or if your readiness score is lower, you say, listen, I can't push myself too much today in my workouts. I'm going to get a little bit of extra sleep and rest. So it's really nice. Again, no comparison, because you'd have to manually figure out your own score, looking at your own heart rate variability with the Apple Watch. So in terms of recovery and readiness, hands down, it's the Oura Ring. All right, what about overall health? So you basically have your readiness score. You're looking at your recovery. Oura wins in that part of overall health. What about your blood pressure, right? I shouldn't say blood pressure, because you can measure that with an Apple Watch, but I wouldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't use that yet. It's getting there, but not yet. But it looks at your oxygen, and your oxygen on your Apple Watch is pretty good. And it will measure it a few times a day. Not consistently, but a few times a day. And then anytime you want to measure it, you can by actually clicking the button. You just have to stay perfectly still, keep your hand rested on your thigh or on a desk, and you'll be able to take that. Heart rate variability, here's an interesting one. Anybody using either of these devices, it could take your Apple Watch or Oura Ring 1 to 2 weeks to kind of figure out that baseline. The Apple Watch took almost 3 weeks for it to figure out my heart rate variability. It was at like 110, 130 the first few days, and I would love to have a heart rate variability of 110, 140. I don't have a heart rate variability of 110, 140. That would be great, but now it's back to normal where it typically is. And you know what? It's pretty close to the Oura Ring. It really is. The Oura Ring is always going to be, in my estimation, about 10 to maybe even 20% lower on heart rate variability than Apple Watch, because they test it in different ways. But that's okay. Heart rate variability doesn't really matter like as much the score. I mean, you certainly as an adult would love to be above a 35. Of course, yes, you can be higher. You want to be higher, but as an adult in your 40s or older, like you want to be a little bit higher. If you're in your 30s, I certainly recommend 40, 45 or higher. And anybody I work with, I want to get them into the 50s or higher. So that's a story for another day. I've talked about that a little bit before on previous interviews. If you want to know more about heart rate variability, I'm going to link up a couple shows I did. One of them is with Dr. Jay Wiles. He's one of like the leading experts on heart rate variability. So I'll certainly link that up. So heart rate variability, pretty good on both, pretty consistent on both. But again, during the night, the Oura Ring is taking your heart rate variability all night, where the Apple Watch is only taken about 3 times. And then body temperature goes to the Oura Ring, because currently the Apple Watch does not take body temperature. So overall health, I would say Oura Ring is the winner there. All right, so we're at 2 categories: daily activity and fitness for Apple, sleep, recovery, and overall health for Oura. We've got just a couple more. Best interface. You're probably going to realize already what I'm about to say. But when you look at the Apple Watch, you can basically, again, you can pick the watch face that you want. I choose mine to be more motivating. So it's got a little time and date up in the top right, but then it shows the rings. So your goal with an Apple Watch is actually to close your activity ring, your exercise ring, and your standing ring every single day. And it actually shows you the progress. I find it unbelievably motivating. I don't know why, but I love games. Like I love, trying to win the video game. And I look at this as like a video game. I'm like, all right, like today, I'm recording this early. I have 16 minutes of more exercise that I need to get in. My workouts are longer than 16 minutes. They're typically about a half hour. I'm going to easily be able to get that. I've got another 200 something calories to burn here in terms of activity. And I'm 6 hours deep. I've hit every hour so far standing. Great. I only need 6 more. So you make it realistic, but also to push yourself a bit, right? So that's what I've kind of done. And so I love the interface. And then when you go to the actual Apple app, which is just your health app, I mean, it just says health. It's currently white with a little pink heart or red heart. You can go in and you can drill down on your steps for the day, your distance for the day, your standing minutes, your standing hours. You can go into your flights climbed. So VO2 max. I mean, it has everything in there. Your swimming distance. So the two work together, right? They work hand in hand. So the Apple app is like any other Apple device. It's very clean. It's very easy to read. Now, let's juxtapose that with the Oura app. The Oura app is fantastic in its own right. It looks completely different than the Apple app. When you get to the homepage, you're looking at, first and foremost, your readiness score, any updates it has for you, and then your sleep score, which are the two most important. It's like, how game are you today, right? How ready are you for this day? What was your exercise like yesterday? What was your recovery like? And it takes that into account. So I love that. Again, you can never find that on a watch either, so you do need the apps. And then at the bottom, okay, click on your readiness. Okay, we got it. We got resting heart rate variability, respiratory rate, body temperature, how's it look? And then you scroll down the page or scroll up and you'll be able to see all the different stats there. Sleep, again, my total sleep, my time in bed, my sleep efficiency, and my resting heart rate. Good. And then my activity for the day, goal progress, total calories burned, walking equivalency, and steps. And then you can put in your workouts from there. So I think they're both great. I really do in terms of interface. However, only one of these devices allows me to look at this interface all day long with just looking right at the watch. So the winner there goes to Apple. I would love to say tie, but it's really Apple in terms of the interface. The Oura app is better, but I mean, really, if I'm looking at the actual interface, it's really tough to beat that Apple Watch. All right. Let's go to EMFs, right? Electromagnetic frequencies. If you don't know what those are, definitely go to StephenCabral.com/1987. We'll link up previous interviews, heart rate variability, all the other good, all the other shows that you should be checking out to learn more about this. But you want to be careful with EMFs with all these devices, the Leaf device and the Whoop strap and all these great things. So what I do is, very simply put, I go into the app on the Oura Ring, put it on airplane mode. And then for the Apple Watch, you can actually click airplane mode right on it. It shows a little airplane that shows you it's in airplane mode. And then what do? I go to Bluetooth, turn off my Bluetooth. Okay, now there's no EMFs. So that's really nice. So they could both be EMF free. But the people, of course, who want to get their text messages and their music and all those other things, they need to turn on Bluetooth for the Apple Watch. So, obviously it depends on how you plan on using it. I'm only using it as a fitness-based device because I can't get 1,000 emails and phone calls and notifications and everything else, text messages and Slack messages and everything else on my watch every minute of the day. It's too distracting. So I turn those off anyways. So for me, not a big deal. However, the Oura Ring certainly has less EMFs when it's on versus the Apple Watch. So if you're going to keep them both on, the Oura Ring wins that. All right. So now what wins overall? We need to look at the total picture. And I honestly, I said this, the decision is really easy. It's actually very easy. So if you want a smart biometrics device, mainly for fitness, activity tracking, or motivating you to move more, hands down, it's the Apple Watch. Hands down. It's not even close. The Apple Watch has the best interface, and I'll show you exactly what mine looks like. I'll link that up at StephenCabral.com/1987. Best interface, keeps you the most motivated. It shows you where you're at every second of the day. I love that. Okay. But you must also have an iPhone in order to use this properly, right? So if you want all the linking up with all the different health apps and you're someone that wants to link it up with your text messages or whatever it might be, you do need an iPhone with that. So I just want to share that part to it, right? But you can't have an Apple Watch. It will do it on its own, but you do need to link it up to get all that rest of that data. So, one more. If you are someone that is looking for the best device to track your sleep, your readiness, and your recovery, 100% is the Oura Ring. Again, not even close. The data that I get from overnight for my heart rate variability, my deep sleep, which needs to be an hour and a half or more, my REM sleep, which needs to be 2 hours or more, to look at my total time in bed, my steps for the day. I'm telling you right now, the Oura Ring. And the Oura Ring is the only one that, to me, that's comfortable to wear in bed. I'm not going to wear a watch every night. So I wore this for a week to get the data to be able to do this show for you, but I would never wear my Apple Watch to bed. Don't find it comfortable. To me, The interesting thing is the Apple Watch actually tracks more data, and it really has everything that the Oura Ring can do, but it hasn't laid it out yet. It hasn't really rolled it all out yet. So when I'm thinking about like 5 years from now, is there going to be a clear winner? It's probably going to be the Apple Watch in terms of everything. However, you would still have to wear that watch to bed. And right now, the watch doesn't even last a full 24 hours. So you need to charge it for like an hour before bed. Or some people that I know have 2 Apple Watches, one to wear to bed, one during the day. That's pretty decadent. You can do that. For me, I'm wearing both. Now, the question is, because I want the motivation for the activity. I love being able to put in my bikes, my runs, my swims, and I love the Oura Ring overnight. So I don't even need my Oura Ring during the day if I don't want to, but it still needs all that data. So I like that as well because it knows how active I was the day before. So will I continue to wear both forever? I don't know. But I'll tell you this. If I'm going to give up one, it's going to be the Apple Watch. So my winner right now is the Oura Ring. I love the motivation. I love the interface. I love the activity tracking and the fitness tracking of the Apple Watch. But if I were to choose one right now, it's going to be the Oura Ring. Now, I'm going to continue to wear both, at least for a while. But again, if I drop one, it's going to be the Apple Watch. For sure, you should decide what is best for you based on what you feel is most important. Hopefully, this head-to-head was helpful. I will absolutely do it again in a year or 2 from now if there's been big strides and changes made. Apple's about to reveal potentially a glucometer that uses LEDs, a better blood pressure tracker, better oximeter, and much more. So I'll keep you updated for sure. Keep tuning into the Cabral concept. And of course, if this was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve.